Hey everyone. So in the last video, we set up a server and I configured it for a static IP address on our internal network. So I gave it a private address. So in this video, I'm going to show how to set up DHCP. So that way we can use our DHCP server to set up IP addresses to the rest of our internal machines that we're doing. So first, let me go look. So I've got two machines. I've got a Windows 10 and a server B here. Let's just go verify. Um, and I have them on our internal network. But let me just go verify that, see what the IP address is on these things. So let me make it a little smaller here. Come on. So I'm just going to open up, start run, command prompt. So you can notice it's got that built-in APIPA address there. So I want it on our 172.16 private network that I put. So let's just minimize that. Let me check server B just to verify same thing. Let me connect to that one. Log in real quick. I'll run IP config. See, same thing. You can see that 169. That's not the address I wanted on. So let's go to the one I manually set yesterday and connect to that one. All right, so let's first verify that this is still on that network that I statically set. All right, so you can see this one's on the 172.16 network and it's 5.5. So let's make this our DHCP server. So what I'm going to do now is go back to the add and remove features in Windows Server Manager. So let's click this box right here next to the Start menu to get to that. And that should come up, Server Manager. So let me let it set up for a second. There we go. So I'm going to click here on this add roles and features because DHCP is a role. So let me make it a little bigger here so we can see everything in here. I'll hit next. It's a role-based feature. So the first one, so you can just hit next, do that. I'm applying it to this server. It's the one I want to configure. So I'll just hit next. And here's our choices here. So the first one is the roles and the second screen is the features. So DHCP server is a role. So there it is right there. So I'll go ahead and just check that box. It asks about, you know, if you want to install these things, you want to add everything there. So just hit add features. I'll hit next. We're not going to do any additional roles this time. So I'll skip this and hit next. And it gives you some you know, some info about DHCP. It says you should have one static IP address. So we have said that last time, so that's important or it won't let you finish. So let's go ahead and hit next. I'll say go ahead and restart if need be. I'll check that box and say, yeah, I'll allow auto restarts. And I'll go ahead and hit install here. And we'll let it go through its install process. Let me just take a second. Let me just pause the video and then I'll come back once it's finished. All right, it's finished up. It didn't need a restart, so I'm gonna go ahead and click close here on this. So we're done with that. So now you can see there's a little yellow exclamation point up there. So if you click on that, let's see, it's got, you know, configuration required for DHCP. So I'm gonna go ahead and click this complete DHCP configuration, and it brings up our DHCP wizard here. So what you have to do is just say, yeah, I want to commit. This is the, you know, these are the groups that you're going to need to run this, you know, et cetera. So I'll hit commit there. So it created its security groups, and it says, please restart the DHCP server on target server for the security groups to be effective. We'll close it, but I'm going to go ahead and configure some of the settings first before we restart the service. So we can go up here to tools, and you can see now we have a DHCP choice. So let's go ahead and click into that. So that brings us into our DHCP menu. So, and it's for this server 2012A. So let me expand that, and you can see we've got IPv4 and IPv6 and some choices here. So let me expand this out a little bit. So there's some bunch of different options here, policies, filters. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just right click on this IPv4 section because that's the one we want to set up for our network. So I'm going to right click on that and say new scope. So, and it brings up this wizard here. So these are the addresses that we're going to want to distribute out. So I'll say next, and we'll just give it a name here, and we'll see, say IPv4 internal. So I know I'm giving out internal private addresses, and we'll say the same thing, private. Hit the next button, and it'll say, okay, so here's your options. Select the range of addresses that the scope distributes. So I want to start it. So this server is 172.16.5.5. So we'll say we want to give out, whoops, number lock, 172.16, and we want to give out, we'll say 30, 5.30, and we'll end it, say, we'll do like 60 addresses, 172.16.5.60. So we'll give it a good range of addresses there. So it's automatically set the subnet mask for me. It knows this is the network I'm going to do. So let me go ahead and hit next. So this is exclusions. So if there's a range of IPs you want to exclude, you could exclude that. You know, from DHCP, it won't give out those addresses. I just have a small list of ones, but we'll go ahead and do an exclusion. We'll say, okay, don't give out 172.16.5. We'll say don't give out 31, and then we'll say all the way to 33. 172.16.5.33 for whatever reason, and maybe we already have something on those addresses, and we'll add that in. So it'll say, okay, those are the addresses to exclude. Next, so it'll say this is the lease. You know, every time the machine uses the IP address, now it can use it for 8 days as the default before it checks back in and sees if that address is still available. So that's fine. Let's just hit next. And this one says you can do some other things. I'll say yes to it. We're not going to really configure these other things for my internal network, but I'll just say yes so you can see it. So this is your gateway. If you had a gateway in your in your subnet that you were using to route traffic, you could do this, and then your clients would get that gateway. I'm going to skip that. Same with DNS. If we had a DNS in our domain, you know, we could set that up here. We'll skip that. I'm going to say next to it. Win server to connect to NetBIOS, same thing. I'm going to skip it. Say next. Do you want to activate the scope now? So I'll say, yeah, let's go ahead and activate the scope now, and we'll say finish to this. So there you go. It says our scope is active. It's this 172.16 address, and we can drop that down now and see our address pool here, and you can see this is your range 5.30 through 5.60, and you can say the ones excluded are this. Then you can also come over to the leases. If we had any machines on there, they would be in here. You know, we could also set some reservations. So let's go ahead and restart the DHCP service just in case, because we had those security groups. So I'm going to type in services.msc just to bring up the services here, and let's just go ahead and restart that since it asked us to in the beginning. All right, so we've restarted that. So let's refresh this group here. All right, so now we know we have a DHCP server. So when our other computers get onto the network, they should go out and request a IP address. So for our Windows 10 machine, let's just go ahead and reset that thing. So we'll say yes. And in our Windows Server 2012B, let me go ahead and connect it, and we'll go ahead and tell it to reach out. We'll say ipconfig/renew and tell it to, hey, go out there and get a new IP address. So let's let it do that. So you can see now it's grabbed one from the pool. Now it was this APIPA 169, and now it's 172.16.5.34. So it grabbed one from our DHCP. So let's check on the Windows 10 and see what we see there. And I just did it both ways so you can see, you know, that they'll automatically, you can kind of go hurry it up, or it'll automatically get one. Let's let that log in. All right. Let me open up the command prompt again, and we'll say IP config for this one. All right, so you can see this one grabbed 30, and then the other one grabbed, this one grabbed 34. And the reason it didn't grab those other ones in a row is because, remember, we had said 31 through 33 don't give out. So if we go look at our leases now, let's refresh this here. You can see that my Win10A machine has got that 530, and server 2012B has 34. And if I put extra machines on here, it would keep going in line, 35, 36, 37. So that's it, but that's how you set up and configure a DHCP server. Thanks a lot.